Throughout the past 10 years, I've visited 28 parks with coasters. A lot of those parks have multiple massive coasters that people flock to from around the world to ride. However, there are some of those parks that just have one coaster, and some people may have never heard of them. Today I'll be ranking the best coaster from each park I've been to. First, I'll be starting off with the parks with just one coaster, or ones with just kiddie and family coasters. However, before the video begins, it'd be amazing if you guys could give the video a like, or consider subscribing. I'm on the road to 1,000 subscribers and I've been starting to grow recently, and liking the video will really help it beat the YouTube algorithm. Any support is greatly appreciated. And if you subscribe and you do change your mind, you can always unsubscribe. So once again, any support is greatly appreciated. So up first is Blackbeard's Cave in Bayville, New Jersey. This is an SBNO, a family entertainment center that I have many memories at. The Dragon Wagon from Wisdom Rides was one of my first coasters, and honestly, it's kind of fun. The ride is surrounded by low trees that you can grab during the ride, and this is the only coaster in the park, but whenever I came here, it was usually for a school fundraiser of some sorts, and my friends and I always had a good time with this thing. And one time, we actually even made it roll back, and it was just absolutely hilarious.
And as of recently, the ride actually sold for $75,000 on Facebook Marketplace. Nobody knows where it went. It could have been scrapped, it could have been bought, but hopefully we'll see it somewhere in a new park, maybe even still in New Jersey.
Next up is iPlay America, which is an indoor amusement park in Freehold, New Jersey. They only have one coaster, which is an SBF Visa spinner. The other day when I went here, I had an actual interesting time. Their coaster broke down on us, and we actually had to unload from slightly outside or inside the station. It wasn't parked correctly, and the train wouldn't move, so yeah, interesting experience. However, it's just an SBF spinner, and after all, it just ends up being another credit. Camelback Mountain Adventures in Tannersville, Pennsylvania is mainly a ski resort. However, during the summer they operate a water park and a few rides. Their main ride besides the water park is a mountain coaster. And I actually rode this during the winter. However, they do not operate it during the winter anymore for some reason. It was the first mountain coaster I've ever ridden, and it was very fun and a very out of control experience. It does have automatic brakes in case you do go too fast or get close with another car. However, they didn't really hit that during the ride, and I didn't get close to another car, so overall a very fun and out of control experience. Another place with just a mountain coaster is Rocky Top in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. In fact, the park is literally just a mountain coaster. I rode this after going to Dollywood, and to be honest, it was fun, but not as good as Camelback's. The brakes hit a lot, and there was a lot of lift hills in between the ride. However, the scenery was much better than Camelback's, and overall, definitely worth the money. Sesame Place is a park that nobody really cared about until recently. The addition of Oscar's Wacky Taxi really put this place on the map. Unfortunately, I've been there twice, and once was in 2003 as a 3-year-old, and in 2019, unfortunately, none of the coasters were open. So in my experience, Vapor Trail is their best coaster, however, we do know that Wacky Taxi is way better. Next up is Hollywood Studios in Disney World, in Florida. Now, this park has since received another coaster. However, the last time I was there, it only had Rock and Roller Coaster, which is a well-themed Vekoma LSM launch coaster. This ride is pretty fun from what I remember. Besides the forceful inversions, it doesn't do much, but it's still a great ride. It has some good theming, and you get to listen to Aerosmith while riding. When I was still in my very early enthusiast phase, this was actually my number one coaster. It was the first ever launch coaster I've ridden, and the first ever coaster with inversions that I've ridden. So, like I said, a good launch and forceful inversions were introduced to me at the same time, and my 11-year-old mind was just blown. The next park is Gillians Wonderland in Ocean City, New Jersey. This park previously had two coasters, Runaway Train, which is a family coaster by L&C Systems, and the other is a Wacky Worm, which still operates. Their Wacky Worm, well, it's a Wacky Worm, so their family coaster was clearly better. I don't even remember what the ride was like, and it's one of my few defunct credits. Next up is one of the new parks I visited in 2020, Quasi in Middlebury, Connecticut. This park has two coasters, Wooden Warrior, a Gravity Group airtime-filled family coaster, and Little Dipper, an Alan Herschel kiddie coaster. Wooden Warrior is an amazing, smooth, airtime-filled wooden coaster, and their kiddie coaster, it's an old kiddie coaster, what can I say? Wooden Warrior clearly takes the cake here. Funtown Pier in Seaside Park, New Jersey is currently the only defunct park I've been to. This park had 4 coasters before it got destroyed by Superstorm Sandy, and only got to ride 3 of them, as at the time I seriously did not trust their looping coaster. I mean, just look at this thing. It even had its restraints open. It was probably the best coaster though, but my personal pick is probably their family coaster from E&F Myler. Mighty Mouse was a strange coaster, and honestly, it was not smooth. or had anything good about it. And their Dragon Wagon, it was a Dragon Wagon. So Family Coaster was actually a decent intense kiddie coaster, so it's my pick for the best at the park. Casino Pier was the neighboring park to Funtown Pier, however Casino Pier is located in Seaside Heights, which yes, is a different town. The park currently has 3 operating coasters, and had a completely different lineup before Hurricane Sandy. However, out of the 3 coaster, Hydra's is the clear choice when it comes to the best. The ride is intense, smooth, and features some great forces. It's one of the star coasters on the New Jersey shore. However, the old Casino Pier, Starjet was the clear winner here. Their Wild Mouse was unique and it was definitely intense. However, Starjet was an E&F Big Miler and it was fairly smooth, a little rough, had some airtime, and good laterals. So overall, 2 great supporting coasters for the Jersey Shore. Next up is Jenkinson's Boardwalk in Point Pleasant, New Jersey. This park had a powered coaster and a flitzer a few years ago. However, they recently replaced their flitzer with an SBF Spinner 5.0. This is honestly their worst coaster yet, and flitzer was a much better ride. Currently the best operating is their powered coaster, however flitzer was the best before it was removed. Honestly, a regular SBF Spinner would have been way better and more thrilling. Animal Kingdom, which is another park part of the Disney World Resort, only has 1 operating coaster at this time. However, until this year, it had previously 3 coasters, Expedition Everest and 2 mirrored Wild Mouse coasters from Evershin. The Wild Mouse coaster's absolute garbage. However, Expedition Everest is an awesome family thrill coaster themed to escaping the Himalaya from a Yeti. It has some unique elements like a switch track and a backward section, and it's fairly smooth for an older Vekoma, and even has some great forces in that backward section. Dry Playland in Rye, New York is home to 5 coasters. They have a kiddie wooden coaster which adults can unfortunately not ride, 3 Zamperla coasters, a family gravity coaster, a Valair, and a Wild Mouse, and their main coaster is a classic wooden Frederick Church wooden coaster called the Dragon Coaster. Dragon Coaster is easily the best here. It's a smooth, long ride with some good scenery. The ride is a little bit forceless, but it's still very enjoyable for a wooden coaster of its age, and it's a piece of history. The only problem I had with it were the trains, which I expressed in my Right Playland vlog and review. Next is the Magic Kingdom at the Disney World Resort. Magic Kingdom has 2 star coasters. They're Space Mountain coasters and Big Thunder Mountain. They have a few other coasters, however, one of them is a kiddie coaster, and I have not ridden the Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. At the end of the night in my last visit, I was able to marathon either of these coasters, and to be honest, I chose Space Mountain. The ride has a very out of control feeling to it, and some awesome airtime and laterals, and it's in complete darkness. Big Thunder Mountain is also really good, as it has some great, amazing theming, and some good forces. If you're alone in the car by yourself, you can slide around from the intense laterals because there's no seat dividers, and there's also some decent airtime in the front row. I specifically remember Omega being better as far as the 2 Space Mountain sides go, but my opinion can completely change if I ever get back there. Also, my opinion could completely change when the Tron Light Cycle Power Run coaster opens. It looks absolutely amazing. Playland's Castaway Cove is the other park and bigger park located in Ocean City, New Jersey. It has a fantastic lineup for a boardwalk park too. The park has 4 coasters, Gale Force, Wild Waves, and their 2 kiddie coasters. Gale Force is the clear winner here. It's filled with amazing moments like the launch, the drop, and the various elements throughout the ride. It's packed with ejector airtime, laterals, and positives. Their other coasters are also pretty good. Wild Waves is a fun family coaster with some airtime and laterals, and their 2 kiddie coasters are decent. They have an SBF Spinner, which it's an SBF Spinner, and their kiddie coaster, Pirates Gold Rush, even has some floater air, which is honestly really cool. Heading down further south to Wildwood, New Jersey is Maury's Piers. I haven't been to this park in forever, and the park has 3 major coasters that could be contenders for the best. There's Great White, a CCI wooden coaster with some moments of laterals and floater air, Sea Serpent, a very smooth Vekoma Boomerang, and the Great Eraser, a Vekoma SLC. However, since my last visit in 2013 or 14, I honestly don't remember, the park basically tore out 90% of their old SLC and built an entire new one to make a smoother ride. The ride has mixed reviews, but unfortunately have not ridden it yet, and it's even considered a new coaster on Coaster Count. For now, I choose the Great White as the best coaster at Maury's. From what I remember, it's honestly a really good wooden coaster, and one of the better coasters in New Jersey. Heading all the way up north to East Rutherford, New Jersey is Nickelodeon Universe at the American Dream Mall. This new park has 5 coasters with 2 amazing contenders for their best. Shellraiser is a massive Gerstlauer Eurofighter with 8 inversions and the world's steepest drop. It also has an amazing launch. Then there's Sandy's Blasting Bronco, which is the variant of Intamin's vertical LSM coaster. And in my opinion, Sandy is a top tier ride. It's truly the best in the park. The ride's super intense, features one of the best launches on Earth, and has amazing hang time. Going backwards in that front row is just surreal, especially on that launch and the twist out of the second inversion. Lake Compounce is a small park located in Bristol, Connecticut. However, the park has one coaster putting it on the map, Boulder Dash. It's a CCI wooden coaster located on the top of the mountain in the park. It also flies through the woods. This ride is just unbelievable. It has the best setting of any coaster I've been on, and it's filled with laterals and floater airtime like crazy. Boulder Dash makes my top 25 coasters, and it's honestly worth the trip to Lake Compounce alone. If you've never been here and you're going to Six Flags New England or another park in the area, definitely hit up Lake Compounce. Six Flags Great Escape is an afterthought to most enthusiasts. However, this is one of my favorite parks. The ride lineup is nothing great, however it does have one coaster that really sticks out. Comet, which is a PTC wooden coaster filled with floater air and laterals. It's a fairly long ride and it's very smooth for its age. This is another one of my favorite coasters and also lands in my top 25. And the fact that this coaster is from the 40s and still holds up to today's coasters is just crazy. Speaking of classic wooden coasters, the next park is Knobles, and this park has 2 awesome major wooden coasters. Twister is their more intense wooden coaster that features speed and laterals, while Phoenix features the insane ejector airtime. Phoenix is way better in my opinion. The ride is filled with a mix of floater and ejector air and it only has buzz bars. Phoenix is simply one of the best wooden coasters around, and I simply do not understand when people say Twister is better. Cedar Point, a coaster lover's paradise. This park is filled with multiple contenders for the best in the park, like Magnum XL 200, Millennium Force, Maverick, and of course Steel Vengeance. In my opinion, Steel Vengeance is the best in the park by a long shot. It's one of the best coasters around. It features a super long ride filled with floater and ejector air, and even some inversions thrown in there too. A lot of people choose Maverick for the intensity, however you can't beat the most airtime in the world in my opinion. Next up is my favorite park, Dollywood in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. This park does not have a single bad coaster, but their best is clear, Lightning Rod. This RMC is my number 1 coaster, and it has some of the most insane ejector air, an amazing setting, and an intense ride. And to top it all off, it even has a forceful uphill launch, which is super unique. This ride is getting a retrack for 2021, and I simply cannot wait to ride the new version, and hopefully they don't trim the top of that launch. Without Lightning Rod, the park does have some great coasters too, like Tennessee Tornado and Thunderhead, and if it wasn't for Lightning Rod, Thunderhead would be the clear winner here. It's an insane, awesome ejector airtime filled, lateral filled, and floater airtime filled long GCI wooden coaster. It's been hated on recently for being quote unquote rough, but I think the slight bumpiness honestly makes it feel way more out of control. Dorney Park is one of Cedar Fair's regional parks located in Allentown, Pennsylvania. This park has 2 really good rides that I have gone back and forth on being the best in the park. Talon, a B&M invert, and Steel Force, a Morgan Hyper. I used to be a huge fan of Talon's smooth and intense ride, however after my 2020 visit, Steel Force blew me away. The ride is filled with strong, sustained airtime, and it's my second favorite Hyper in the state. It's a great ride, and honestly I don't get the hate for it anymore. Hershey Park, another park in Pennsylvania, has one of the most stacked lineups ever. The park has something for everyone, truly. Their top 3 is all great contenders, Stormrunner, Candemonium, and Skyrush. Stormrunner brings the intensity and the fantastic launch, Candemonium brings the floater air, and then there's Skyrush. Skyrush literally has everything you can offer in a coaster. Insane sustained ejector, crazy positives, and back-breaking laterals. Skyrush is the best coaster in Pennsylvania by a long shot, and it even makes my top 5 coasters. King's Dominion is another park where it may be hard to choose where the best coaster is. You have the insane Giga Intimidator 305 or the crazy ejector airtime filled RMC Twisted Timbers. For me, it's definitely Twisted Timbers. The ride absolutely blew me away when I rode it. It's filled with ejector, laterals, and amazing hang time on the inversions. This is one of RMC's most aggressive coasters, right behind Lightning Rod in my opinion. However, Intimidator 305 is definitely an amazing coaster and it makes my top 10 for sure. Heading slightly up north is an underdog park, Six Flags America. The park has a few contenders for their best ride: Batwing, an awesome flying coaster from Vekoma, Joker's Jinx, a super intense premiere launch, and there's Superman the Ride of Steel, which is a great hyper with some great airtime and shows off its speed. It was tough choosing which one I liked more after riding them. However, later in my visit I rode Wild One. This coaster has over 100 years of history behind it, and it's one of the best coasters I've ridden. Wild One is filled with ejector airtime and floater air, and it finishes off with an insane sustained lateral filled helix. This ride is a hidden gem, and honestly it's super underrated, and it's one of the best wooden coasters around. Six Flags New England is known for having one of the greatest 1-2 punches around. Over the years, I've gone back and forth between the two, Superman the Ride and Wicked Cyclone. Superman is an amazing, diverse, intimate hyper, and Wicked Cyclone is a crazy compact RMC filled with laterals and ejector airtime. The past few years, Wicked Cyclone has been slowing down like crazy, and it's lost some of its power. However, I remember what this thing ran like when I first rode it, and on a hot summer day or during the rain, it rides just like that. It's filled with crazy ejector airtime and laterals, and as with most RMCs, amazing hang time and a smooth ride. The ride is also pretty long, and I've never felt cheated after waiting in line for it. It's definitely the best coaster in the park, however, I know a lot of people prefer Superman. And finally, to end out the video, we have my home park and place of work, Six Flags Great Adventure. This park is similar to Dollywood, where it doesn't have a single bad coaster. Every ride is awesome and serves a place in the lineup. However, for most enthusiasts, there's an obvious choice: El Toro, the park's Intamin prefabricated wooden coaster. This still has some of the best airtime ever, and it's absolutely legendary. However, I still want to give credit to the park's other contenders for the number 2 spot, because without El Toro, the park still has amazing rides. There's Nitro, the park's B&M hypercoaster filled with floater airtime and a forceful helix. There's Bizarro, the world's first floatless coaster featuring 7 inversions, and it all has really forceful layout. And of course there's King Ka, the world's tallest coaster and America's fastest, clocking at 128 miles an hour and 456 feet, which is an absolute experience, and they all deserve amazing recognition. Thanks for watching, everyone. I really hope you enjoyed the video. Make sure to leave a like to show your support for the channel, and if you enjoyed, consider subscribing for more content just like this. Once again, guys, I'm on the road to 1,000 subscribers, so any subscription or like will greatly help me. And once again, thanks for watching the video, and I hope to see you all in the next one.